hear from y'all what you think about that. Like, what is the purpose behind it? When should you consider it? Are you waiting a long time for it? Are you waiting for a certain, established element of the career or a strength of the community? Do you want to launch right into streaming with like having a merch store? Is that too early? What is the value and purpose of merch as a streamer?
Yeah, so I think my opinion is that merchandise is primarily used to strengthen your brand, and it's not so much about the money, because for most of these options that you'll have, it's really not a lot of money. Like off of a shirt or a mug, you make a couple bucks, because like you don't want to charge like $30 for a t-shirt. That's ridiculous, right? Like you kind of want to, I think it's super important to keep the cost low. You'd rather people wear your merch and have it at the, in my opinion, for the lowest possible cost, so that you have people repping your brand versus like, making like a couple extra bucks off of it.
I think that you could actually look at it the exact opposite direction, because if you think about it, merch is the one thing that you can actually control the quality. You can measure you can measure the actual demand, whether people actually want the thing, and products are way more profitable than services, and your stream is a service. You can't measure what is going to make somebody sub to you. You just can't, because that requires like direct influence on a person.
Mm-hmm.
And they're paying into something that they're actually not getting a measurable return on. Whereas with a product, they can point to a thing that I spent my money on this and I got this physical item. And it was one of the things that I was told very early on is like merchandising and sponsorships, the things where you can directly correlate, I did something and I got some money for it, and then somebody on the other end expected something from me and they paid me money. Those are things that are sustainable, because you can point to exactly where that money went and what it went to. Whereas things like subs and tips and stuff like that are always going to be fairly fluid and could drop off at the drop of a hat.
Well, I mean, I think it depends on, I guess, the way you angle your merch store. Like, is it for your stream or your community, or is it for like, do you just want to make cool looking stuff that like anyone buys, kind of thing, right? Do you want to have like a clothing line versus like a merch store, I guess?
And that's kind of how. So I should have probably mentioned this in the intro as well. I started a clothing line first. I did the exact opposite. So I started Rockhart as a passion project while I was working as a creative outlet. And then I only started streaming about 1.5 years ago. So it's different, I think, for me in that I already had this established brand, and then I just added on streaming, while most people are probably approaching this as a streamer and want to add on some sort of physical goods component to it.
Right.
Yeah. And that's for
and I think...
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, and I think merch can work both ways. Depending on what your goal is for it. If your goal is recognition, if you want people to wear your logo, first off, you should decide if that's a good move, if people actually want to wear your logo. But if that's your goal, that's fine. If you want to make something that's cool that people will want to wear and will recognize you for as a brand as a whole, I think that is a much stronger position. And I feel like that appeals to a broader base, because people will buy a t-shirt because it looks cool. Less people will buy it because it has your name on it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
In most cases.